So one of the things that we were looking at doing here at the house is having a backup source generator. We have a generator. I think it's like 6,000 or 7,000 watt generator that'll run the well pump. It'll run like most of the lights in the house and the hot water heater and the furnace while it's running. But that uses a lot of gasoline. So what I wanted to do is get this solar generator thing to kind of fill in the gap. So I can run the refrigerator for like 24 hours and then just run my other generator to charge this one up, charge the battery up, supplement the solar. And also then we can take showers and stuff like that while the big generator is running. But if the power were to go out for extended period of time, it's not feasible to run the gas generator for 24 hours. But I still would want to have like my refrigerators running and my furnace. Also, my situation here at the house is I have a propane furnace. So I think this one would probably be enough power to run the blower on the furnace and the control wiring. And I'll show you how I set that up and we'll test it out to make sure it works. But anyways, the idea is if for a backup power, I got the main gas generator that I can run for short periods of time to run the well pump so we have water, we can get that. And then also it'll charge this up, and I got solar panels, 360 watts worth of solar panels to charge this. It'll take up to 700 watts, so I could add more. We'll see what the load is and how it does. And then this would fill in the gap, so I can run a couple refrigerators and also the furnace. On top of that, our family hopefully will get into camping this year, and we want to get like a motorhome or a trailer or something, and we can use this along with the solar panels to generate off-grid power. So that'd be kind of cool. But anyways, I'm not going to get into a lot of technical aspects of how this thing works. If you want to see that, this guy named Hobotech, he's pretty cool, and go ahead and watch his videos, and pretty much he'll show you how it works and the capabilities of it. But I'm going to just cover the basics of it maybe, and then get into actually plugging it up to see what the work it actually does. So you turn the thing on, and it's already charged up and everything. This is the charger for the house, and then on the side it has this bag that has a connection for the solar chargers. And you can just turn on the AC or DC by pressing the button there. That's DC. I don't want to turn that on. I want to turn the AC on. So turn that on. Now the AC is working. You can see the line is connected there. So what we're going to do next is connect it up to some stuff and see how many watts per hour the devices will pull, and then I'll calculate approximately how much solar we would need, along with the augmentation of the gas generator to charge this back up, so we can keep the refrigerators and the furnace run for 24 hours. Anyways, so we're going to check out to see if the refrigerator works. So I'll plug this thing in. And it says it's pulling 130 watts right now. Guess the light's on, huh? And the thing about these, right now it's up to like 287, so the compressor must be running. But the thing about the refrigerators is if you leave them shut all the time, then it cools it off, and the compressor won't have to run as often. So now it's down to 0 watts, so it's not running anything right now. But it's only going to cycle on every once in a while, so even though when it's running it was pulling 280 watts a minute ago, if it's only running 5-10 minutes out of an hour, that's like, I don't know, a tenth of 280 watts, so it's like 28 watts for every hour, so it's not going to use that much electricity. So that's pretty cool. Like right now it says 0. You can come over and look at it if you want. So the refrigerator is not pulling anything. I'll open the doors up. When you do that, it'll automatically turn everything on. You see the wattage goes up. But if you keep the doors closed and it's cooled down, then it's not pulling any electricity. So I would estimate probably this, even while it's running, it's turning between 150 to 300 watts. I would say that would probably be equivalent of maybe 50 watts an hour. So this thing is a 1700 watt hour capacity in the battery. This thing would run it for days, and just keep on going. So that's successful. That's good. That's easy. Next we're going to go down and check out the furnace. And I got another freezer downstairs that basically runs off the same principles as the refrigerator, except it's more freezer. It's all freezer, no refrigerator. But it's the same. I expect it to have about the same current draw, which is not very much. Okay, so I'm splicing into my 110 watt line, or 110 volt line coming into the furnace. The first thing I did is I turned off the power in my breaker box, and then I put the female coming in off the hot side, and the male is where the furnace plugs into it. So I can use this plug to plug into my Bluetti. Now I have a propane furnace, so I'll use that primarily for creating heat, but the Bluetti will run the blower and the control wiring. And the furnace, the normal either natural gas or propane, gets all its power through this 110 line coming in, and then it has control wiring that goes out for the thermostat and such. The Bluetti is not going to run the air conditioner because that's 220 volts, and that's another line going outside, but it can run the furnace in the winter. Now when you're hooking this up, you have a white, a black, and a bare line. The white goes under the silver screw, the black goes on the gold screw, and then the bare wire, or ground, goes on the green screw. So the black one's your hot, the white is your neutral, and the green is your ground, the bare wire is the ground. So what I'm hoping to do is just plug this into the Bluetti, and then my furnace will work off battery power. So if the power goes out, I can run my furnace on battery power. If you don't know what you're doing with this stuff, I used to work in heating and cooling, so I used to do this all the time, this kind of stuff. But if you don't know what you're doing, then don't mess with it. Also, when you're hooking these up, you want to make sure that you don't put the insulation under the screw. You see how it has the insulation's up a little bit, and you want to make sure that the screw goes under that metal guard. That way it won't pop out. Okay, now I'll just put it together. Okay, go ahead. So this is my propane furnace. Like I said, the main heat will be generated by the propane. Your furnace is controlled by powered by AC wiring and controlled by DC wiring. But it comes off the same AC circuit coming in. So basically you have 110 volt feeding into the furnace, and then the control wiring is fed off that. So what I did is I spliced the wire going into it, and I have a segment on that, kind of explains how to do it. And the female side is the power coming in from the garage, or from the power breaker, and then I got the male end is up from the furnace, so that just plugs into the extension cord. So right now my furnace is plugged into the AC200, and the furnace isn't running right now because it needs to call for heat. So I'm going to go upstairs and turn the thermostat up, and Nick, my son, will sit here and kind of monitor it and see how many watts it's pulling. The freezer over there that I had hooked up pulled like 50 watts while it was running when the door was open. Like I said, when I closed the door, it went to 0, so it was pretty much nominal. So I think my refrigerators, they're not going to pull a lot of power for the whole day, you know. And I say a day because I know I can start up my gas generator and charge this up even if the sun's not shining. So let me go call for heat and see if this thing turns on. I'll be right back.
Yep.
500 watts. So yeah, the AC is running. The AC200 is running my furnace. The fan is on, pulling 500 watts, and the control wiring and everything. But even the furnace isn't going to run continuously. But it'll run for maybe 10 minutes and then turn off. So it depends on what the power is there. That's actually 550 watts for running the blower. 1700 watts at just pull over a little over 3 hours continuous running. So the refrigerators aren't going to pull a whole lot of power. The furnace blower is actually more than I thought it would, though. So I get like 3 hours on the furnace blower continuous. If it runs like 25% of the time, then I get like 12 hours off this running my furnace before it runs out of power. Anyways, pretty decent test. At least I know what to expect now for my furnace. Like I said, 500 watts. The refrigerators, while they were running, it was maybe 200 watts. But then as soon as you close the doors and they were satisfied, then everything turned off. Anyways, I think I had a pretty successful test. This will probably get me through the night anyways. I also wanted to show you my 2 solar panels that I bought. This is from Brougerv. And I know they're 180 watt panels a piece, and you could probably expect them to put out around 300 watts total. I know Hobotech did a review on them, and even in low sunlight he was getting like 300 watts out of the 2, or he's getting 150 watts out of one panel, I think, in the low sunlight. So I figured with the 2 of them I would get probably around 300 watts or so. And this is set up for the summer. That's where I got them mounted now on the back porch. So if I wanted to use it in the winter, I have to move them around front, or at least up on the hill there, so they get some sunlight. And like I said, check out Hobotech, and he's got a complete rundown of all this stuff and how it works together. I could get a couple more panels, and because the AC200 takes up to 700 watts, just run them in series. That would probably be the best deal, but money doesn't grow on trees, and that's what I could afford at the time. I could always add to it later.